Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Life is a process of learning. That's how I look at it. From a child to a teenager, young adult, and so on, you gain knowledge by reading, by direct experience, by listening to others, and so on. And obviously things that you saw and you analyze as a child, you will understand them differently as a teenager or as a young adult or as an older person or elder person. So that's the way it should be. Obviously the ability, the mental ability, we reached it and that's it. But the information always is available. So that means the brain develops to an end and that's it. There's no more. But it's like a sponge. If you put the sponge just a little bit in the water being information and knowledge, the sponge just going to use the amount of water you allowed it to come into the sponge. If you submerge the sponge into the deep water, squeeze it and then release it and then take it out, it's going to be full of information. So it depends how much knowledge we give ourselves. We search. And with the knowledge and our level and size of the sponge, which is the brain and our abilities, intellectual ability, cognitive abilities, we are having a worldview and understand the world. Now, when we were children and someone said, "Oh, that's a teacher," we looked at a teacher like, "Oh, that's the authority figure, oh, big person, adult and all that." When you grew up a little bit, you became a teenager, you look differently as a teacher. And then when you graduated high school, you look differently at a teacher. When you were, 25, differently. Every time the teacher dropped in authority and should have been dropped in your authority and the way you would appreciate that person because you started understanding more and knowing more about the world and so on, so you could know how much possibly that teacher knows. As a teenager, you don't know how much a teacher really knows. But then, let's say, 50-year-old guy, you will meet a 28-year-old teacher, have a conversation on the subject, you kind of gauge how much that sponge is in this guy's head and how much water it is, knowledge. So, with time, as an adult, you might hear president of a country or a foreign minister or a defense minister. When you hear all these things, at the beginning you look at them, at these guys, I tell you from direct experience, like they're fantastic. They are over there capable, professionals, fantastic, something much better than what I am and what people are around here. That's why they're over there. But with time, if you submerge your sponge into the water deeper and deeper and start squeezing while underwater, and you look at these guys, you analyze them, you realize they are thugs. They are no better than you. Some of them are. Most of them, they're not. I can speak for myself, rarely I can look at a official, politician and say, yes man, that guy over there is good. Why? Because I appreciate his sponge and his water. Like for instance, I appreciate certain politicians and I think they're very smart and very courageous and knowledgeable. But most of them are not good. So in this case, we have a French defense minister. Title good. I think he's too young. Why do I say he's too young? Experience. He doesn't have experience. He doesn't have time to gain experience. And knowledge, I would say. You don't have time. I mean, look at your life. What did you do? You went to school, graduate high school. If you went to college, you went to college. After college, you probably worked during your college times, and then you got a job, and then maybe you got a family. When did you have time to read? What kind of activities did you have time to get employed in? The same thing this guy did. Went probably to college, graduated, got a job. And then do you think he started reading or being in meetings with people and doing his job? The same thing. So his time was very limited for gaining knowledge. And if you have 5 minutes to gain knowledge versus 20 years, is a difference. You definitely will get more knowledge in 20 years than 5 minutes. So this guy is a 5-minuter. And he comes and tells us something so dumb so dumb, or so weasel, because it's either criminal or dangerous, or this guy's really dumb. I don't think he's dumb though, but by his statements, he's dumb. So I have the right to analyze his statements. You can from this guy. How old are you? Are you 35? I'm going to look for him, okay? And I'm going to find out how old this guy is. 25, 35? I know, yeah, but anyway, I look here. Doesn't really matter. So this guy, the French defense minister, doesn't consider missile supplies to Ukraine as escalation. So French defense minister Sébastien Lecornu believes, and that's exactly what he does, he believes, he doesn't think, that the supply of missiles to Ukraine is necessary for its defense and will not, that's certain, will not. It's not it and might not, could, should, no, will not lead to an escalation of the military conflict with Russia. Okay, how come? Now let's see this Mr. Lecornu and see how old are you, Lecornu? Okay, let's see. All right, well, I was right. He is what, 37, 30, something like this? He was born in 1986. 96, 2006, 2016. So obviously that's 4 to 7. So he's 37-year-old, this guy. I was 37-year-old, my friends. And now, do you think, now let's look at this logic. He thinks that there's not going to be an escalation and there will not be an anything. Why? Because there's not an escalation, right? Let me see, how did they word it here? Considers missile supplies to Ukraine as, doesn't consider missile supplies to Ukraine an escalation. Okay, I would ask why. Well, an escalation is an add-on to something, right? It means it gets up a little bit to something. So if you have just weapon A and B, that's it. But if you add C, we have A, B, and C. That means A, B, and C. If you add D, A, B, C, and D, is that an escalation? Fucking retard. Okay, my friends. So this is basic that it is. Imagine this scenario. You fight with a neighbor. And let's say, and someone else provides your neighbor with something that he hasn't got so far. So far, you just have pistols, and automatic weapons. And the guy gets a bazooka, or more than one bazookas. And the guy who supplied the bazooka to your neighbor to blow your house out says, no, that will not be an escalation. What do you think I will do? I will go and get my bazooka, or maybe my tank, if I have them, right? But it's definitely an escalation. I mean, how dumb, or how dumb you might think we are to say such a thing. Now imagine that you meet Mr. Lecornu Sébastien in a meeting across the table as, let's say, the foreign minister of whatever country you are in. Let's say you're not French. Let's say, and you have to deal with this guy. And you say, well, good afternoon, sir. And he says, good night. All right, well, okay. Emil Kosman, Sébastien Lecornu, bababab. Okay, all right. So, have a seat. Well, no, there's no chairs here. Well, there's a chair right there. Well, there's no chairs over here. Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for agreeing to meet with me, or something like that. Because I'm not meeting with you. So you're not on the same wavelength. ABC or 1, 2, 3 is not ABC and 1, 2, 3 for Mr. Lecornu. Or 1 plus 1 does not equal 2 for him. So from the very beginning, you guys are going to be on two parallel lines. How do you think you're going to manage the situation that you meet? How do you think, let's say, Lavrov, he's not a defense minister, but let's say, I don't know, who's the defense minister over there? Shoigu, which I don't have much for Shoigu as well. Shoigu meets Lecornu, let's say, and they start talking about with this guy's logic. I don't know how you can come to anything valuable. I just wanted to point out to you who these guys are. Not better. I mean, I'm not insulting people, young people, but when I was told when I was younger by older people, yes, you read a lot, yes, you know a lot, yeah, you were smart, but some things come only with age. I was like, ew. That's exactly how probably people of around Le Cornu's age would tell me now. I'm older than 36 or 37. I'm older than that. So, but I know that every day I learn more. And I look back and I say, okay, when I was 27, I thought I knew everything. And then at 28, I thought. And then 29, and then 30 and 30. And then I look back from 30 to the 27, and like, okay, well, a lot of things. And you realize you don't know, but you don't know a lot. You might know more about certain things, and there are people around you. But as I said, it's just he doesn't have the experience, doesn't have the time. That's all. Doesn't have the time. And that, I think, it's a direct exemplification of his level. How in the hell this guy is at 36? What was let me see, when was he in office? From 2022. So he's been over there, what, since he was, no, in office since 2020. So so that means that 34. At 34, Mr. Le Cornu became the Minister of Overseas, not Minister of Armed Forces. The Minister of Armed Forces, he was at 36. At 34, he was Minister of the Overseas. I don't even know what it is. Minister of the Local Authorities, he was at 32. How? And if you look, Secretary of State of the Minister of the Ecological and Inclusive Transition, he was in 2017. So he was 30, he was 31. He was a minister somewhere. 31. When did he graduate? Let me put this on the screen so you don't think I'm a weaseling thing. Right here, you have it on the right. You see here? Right here. President of the Department Council, 2016. Mayor of Vernon, 28. I think that's what it is, 28. Something like that. It's I mean, good that you've been voted in the office, but okay. When did he graduate? Let's see. When did he graduate? In 2000, parliamentary assistant. Parliamentary assistant, 2005. In 2005, 86, 96, 21, 19. Okay, well, he moved fast. Anyway, I'm just, some people move fast for various reasons, and that is sometimes certain doors are open for you when you are, a certain kind of individual in certain kind of, you're groomed by certain NGOs, if you know what I mean. And not only NGOs. Look at, for instance, the Saakashvili of Georgia. Look at his meteoric rising and then sudden fall. The same thing. He went to United States, he did this, and then he all of a sudden came in he was immediately in Shevardnadze's government, just like that, somehow, and then he became president in about 4 years or 5 years after that. I covered it in one of the videos on Shevardnadze. Anyway, this is Le Cornu. I mean, Le Cornu, for me, is not very... I don't think he's dumb. I think he's just a weasel. But why would he say that? Just to cover his ass? Very cheap way of doing that. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.